Good morning, everyone. Can I just ask you all to take your seats? And I might ask, we've closed the doors now as well. For those that were with us last night, Stu very helpfully said we were kicking off at 9, but that's not quite correct. I do think, although I might not be in a position to say this, I do think my remarks this morning are also worth listening to. Obviously, we've got a great program which does formally commence at 9, but I'm here at 8:45. So please just bear with me as I wait for everyone to take their seats and then we will kick off. I'll start with a few matters of housekeeping. Our proceedings today and over the course of the weekend are all being recorded and will be rebroadcast. So when we do come to the Q&A discussion, I would just ask you all to do two things. One, please speak into the microphone. We have 2 roving mics which my staff will be taking around, so I'd ask you to be patient, wait for the microphone, because if you don't have it in your hand, we won't be able to hear what you're saying and the people watching at home won't be able to hear either. So that's the first bit of housekeeping. The second bit with regard to the Q&A is we've got a lot of people attending this weekend. It's the largest conference in the Society's 31-year history, which we're very pleased about. I think that's largely a product of the excellent lineup of speakers that we have this year, which I'll talk about in a moment. But as a consequence of that, there are many people here who will each want to have their questions asked and answered. And so we would ask that when you do have the opportunity, if you could keep your remarks brief and in the form of a question would be preferable. We don't want to spend 5 minutes listening to one person's contribution, as interesting as it may be or they may think it may be. But without any further ado, I just wanted to thank you all, first of all, for joining us. We're so thrilled to be back in Melbourne and back to pre-COVID normal programming. Today we have a fantastic session 1, which will see us hear from Associate Professor Scott Stevenson and Professor Nicholas Aroney. Both will be talking about aspects of the voice and the Constitution, and their papers, I think, will bring some very interesting and unique perspectives to what is obviously the topic du jour for the conference, the voice. I had the pleasure of studying under Scott at Melbourne Law School a few years ago, and I'm very much looking forward to his paper. And obviously many of you would know Professor Aroney has been a frequent contributor to the Society, and he and Peter Derangelos made one of, if not the best submissions to the Select Committee inquiry into the voice earlier this year. And I say that having put in a submission on behalf of the Society as well. Theirs certainly was much better and much more worth reading. So we're going to hear from both of them this morning. We'll then break for morning tea, and for morning tea this year we will have some special programming. Many of you would know that very recently, only a few weeks ago, we lost a giant of the Society, one of the co-founders, Dr. Nancy Stone. And it's with great pleasure that I'm able to say that we've been able to organise a number of speakers who knew Dr. Stone well over her time running the Society with her husband John, that have agreed to share some reflections as tribute to her. So please stick around for morning tea to hear from those speakers. After morning tea, we will have the pleasure of the 13th Sir Harry Gibbs Memorial Oration delivered by Alan Myers, ACKC. I've had the privilege of reading an advance draft of Mr. Myers' remarks, and I have to say they're excellent, and you should certainly make sure that you're here for them. It's going to be another in what has become a long line of remarkable orations in honour of Sir Harry. That will be followed by Father Tony Percy, who's come down to be with us to talk about the takeover of Calvary Hospital, a very important issue, and the voice notwithstanding, it was very important to me that we talk about that issue at this year's conference as well. I think it has potentially huge implications. We'll then break for lunch, and we'll have a session following lunch where Louise Clegg will talk to us about the broader implications for our Westminster system of government of not only The Voice, but a number of other recent developments. So I'm very much looking forward to Louise's contribution. Neil Brown is on the program following Louise. Neil is well loved by many in the society. He, unfortunately, is a late scratching due to ill health. So you will all have the misfortune of hearing from me in his stead about some of the original research the Society has produced in the last 12 months. And as a consequence of that, you'll get to go to afternoon tea a little bit early, which I think you'll all enjoy. After afternoon tea, we'll have John Story from the Institute of Public Affairs talking about some of the research that he's done this year into The Voice and related issues and some international comparisons. And after him, we'll have the Honourable Douglas Drummond, KC, who will also talk about the broader context surrounding The Voice. We'll finish then, and hopefully many of you will be joining us for dinner this evening. And again, for tomorrow, we have an excellent program for tomorrow as well. I'll say a bit more about that tomorrow morning, but I think the session that we're holding on referendums, which will feature Stuart Wood, our Secretary, and Paul Jeffries, a bright up-and-comer at the Victorian Bar, will be important not only for this year's referendum, but for the future referenda in this country, or referendums in this country, and will be very informative. And we're also very pleased this year to have Dr. Keith Windshuttle talking about Sir Samuel Griffith. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce this morning's session chair, Robin Sweet, KC. Robin is a great performer at the Victorian Bar. We're very privileged to have her as a member of the Society and as a session chair today. So without any further ado, I hand over to you, Robin.